Everyone. This is Ebony Vaughn, and as always, I come to you by way of Triple G Living, God Goals and Grind, and Nexus Wellness Group, where wholeness is our priority. And always, I come to you by way of equipping, encouraging, and empowering. And this morning, I want to talk about something that I often share in my trainings and also the work that I do in preparing clinicians. And I want to talk about the term containment. Now, the term containment is something that we learn about often in our psychology classes, in our classes preparing clinicians, but it's also a universal term that we all need to be aware of. And what does containment mean? Containment has everything to do with holding emotions long enough to decide where and with whom they should live. I want to say that again. Containment has everything to do with our ability to hold information and process it to determine where it should go and to whom it should go with. And I truly believe that as a leader, this is something that is so important. We have to be ever so wise as to what we say, who we say it to, and when we say it. And this is something that I often talk about as it relates to emotional intelligence. As leaders, we can't just say what we want to say when we want to say it. We have to use wisdom, right? Because we don't always know the impact of what we say to those around us. Now, leadership is not just about what we say, it's also about what we hold, right? One of the things that I have found in my years of leading is that what comes in my head, I can't always say. Now, some of you may say, well, that's a given, Ebony. That's something that we all know. But my question is, do we? As a leader, we are often carrying tension, emotions. Sometimes we're carrying the emotions not only of ourselves, but we're also anticipating the emotions of those that we're leading. We're holding conflict, we're holding confusion, we're holding resentment, we're holding all of these emotions that oftentimes paint a picture, right? And it is through that picture that we interact with those that we lead. And we have to be very careful about that, okay? Containment is the ability to absorb without reacting. Okay. It's really about us being able to process without projecting. I need you guys to hear that. It is important that we process and we give ourselves enough time to process without projecting our feelings and emotions on those that we lead. And it's important for us to respond with intention and not impulse. Okay. We are talking about emotional intelligence, and we cannot react and speak impulsively to those that we are leading because it leads to detrimental damage in our culture and also within the relationship of those we lead. Been there, done that. There have been times when I have said things and it's like 2 days later, I'm dealing with the impact of what I said because I didn't process it and think about how it would affect the hearer. And so, what we have to understand is not every frustration needs to be released in the moment. Not every emotion needs to be transferred to your team. You have to understand what needs to be released and what shouldn't be released. This is why leaders need mentors. This is why leaders need sounding boards within their colleagues, not yes men and women, but we need sounding boards where we are able to stress what we're feeling in a way where we're not projecting it onto those that we lead, but we're processing it and being productive about how we handle it. So I want to say this before I leave. I want to give every leader a charge, not just you that I'm speaking with that may be listening to this, but also myself. right? Let's pause before responding, okay? Let's learn and master the art of regulating our emotions, okay? Create spaces for others without losing ourselves. And what I mean by that is we're creating spaces for other people to be able to express themselves without us feeling attacked. Okay, that requires a heck of a lot of discipline and self awareness because we can't take things personal. And I talked about that in some of my previous messages. But the other part about that is let's hold the weight without dropping it on those that we lead. And what do I mean by that? We have to learn to hold the weight of our emotions and not look for a target to release it on. This is key because we're not always conscious that we're doing it, but we are. Leaders that lack containment destroy their culture because guess what? They don't have self actualization and awareness. But when leaders are grounded, steady, and intentional, we create environments that are clear. We create environments that are supported. And guess what? We become the example to those that we lead. I hope that this was helpful. God bless you and have an amazing day.